Have you ever noticed that sometimes the hardest part of healing isn't understanding why we do what we do? It's actually doing something different. I've seen this again and again. Clients who know their triggers, who can name their fears, who can even describe their shame with language that's deeply insightful and psychologically flexible too. Then, when it comes to taking the next step, to action, something inside of them freezes. And for those of us who sit with clients every day, this is the sacred edge of therapy. It's where insight meets life. It's where the professional relationship comes to a halt. Because understanding isn't what's needed next. What's needed next is movement. And I'm Dr. Matt Bedell, a licensed professional counselor supervisor and licensed chemical dependency counselor based in Allen, Texas. And this is Belonging Matters, where we explore how acceptance and commitment therapy, aka ACT, provides a framework to experience deep seasons of recovery from social anxiety, especially when we can approach recovery from a shame and trauma-informed lens. Movement is where committed action really comes to life. It's kind of like if you have a headache and I hand you a bottle of ibuprofen. Do you feel better yet? Not really. You still have to open the bottle, you have to take out the medication, and if you can't swallow pills on your own, then you need to find something to drink. Once you find that drink, then you need to take the medication, and then while you're giving medication the time to work, it's really worth evaluating, where the heck is this headache coming from? Am I dehydrated? Am I tired? Am I stressed? Have I been staring at screens for too long? Do I need to take a break and go outside? Where could this headache be coming from? And then when you realize, oh, I'm dehydrated, because who the heck drinks enough water anyway? It's in that realization that you then take another committed action. And now you start to drink more water. And while the medicine does its work, then you start to feel better. See, this analogy is important because those first few steps aren't about feeling better, and we take them despite not feeling good. However, they are about doing things that make better possible. And in acceptance commitment therapy, committed action is about choosing behaviors in service of what matters most, even when fear, shame, or doubt show up. It's not about forcing yourself through pain. It's about aligning what you do with who you want to become. For clients with social anxiety, that word committed can sound like pressure. Like if they can't do it perfectly, they've already failed. And that's why the shame lens matters here. Because shame will whisper, you're not ready. You're not good enough. You won't do this right. You'll make a fool out of yourself. Just wait until you feel confident first. Maybe you're not motivated enough today. Now, ACT teaches something radical here. You don't have to wait until you feel ready to begin. And that may not be new information, but it happens all the time. When I talk with clients who are stuck in procrastination, I often remind them of two important things. First, in ACT, language is behavior. That means even when you're tangled in the language of hesitation or self-criticism, something is already happening the moment you notice that process occurring. You're beginning to think with greater psychological flexibility already, and that noticing itself and changing our language is already a form of committed action. You're already doing it. And second, with great insight comes great responsibility. Once you see clearly, the next step is to practice these skills tenaciously. And we're going to practice them so we can build the life that you deserve. Committed action isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about doing the small, imperfect things that allow healing to begin working. Just like taking that first sip of water after swallowing the medicine. Let's look at an analogy. In my backyard, there's a little path my daughters take to get to their playground. And once they leave the door and they step off the patio, their steps become so consistent that now we have small patches of worn down earth, like lived in stepping stones minus the stones. Now, on the other side of the yard is a garden. And if they ever decided to take the route to the garden, or maybe to chase a butterfly, or maybe to see the world differently, they're going to meet some resistance. The grass is thicker there. The ground is uneven. There may be dips, there may be rocks. The grass hasn't filled in those little caves. Now, when they feel that resistance and it's uncomfortable, it's not because they're doing anything wrong. It's simply that that new path hasn't worn in yet. And that's what committed action looks like. When we begin living differently, when we start choosing behaviors in service of our values, rather than letting our fears choose what we do, the first few steps are often very awkward. They're very uncertain and quite uncomfortable. That's where the familiar route feels easier. However, each intentional step in a new direction begins to carve a different way forward. And over time, those small, repeated steps start to form new pathways, not just in the grass, in the nervous system itself, in the identity of yourself, and in the trust that you now hold in yourself. So the work isn't about waiting for the new path to feel comfortable before you walk. The work is in walking it again and again until comfort starts to find you there. In therapy, committed action often shows up in small, very ordinary ways. And truly, those are the moments that change everything. Maybe it's texting a friend back. Maybe it's attending a social gathering for 10 minutes and then leaving instead of not going at all. And maybe it's saying, I don't know, instead of pretending like you're fine. Committed action doesn't have to look dramatic. It just has to be directed and intentional. When someone is facing avoidance or they're feeling very overwhelmed, I'll often invite them to shift their focus to what I call the tipping point of a task. Instead of looking at the whole task, we look at the point of no return, the moment that starts momentum. So if I look at my gym in my garage and I want to get a workout in, but the whole workout feels daunting. I don't think I can do that. And the inner critic begins to whisper, you're not motivated enough. Just take a nap. And maybe I know, though, that if I do some push-ups and a few pull-ups, and after that, I'm pretty warmed up and I typically carry myself the rest of the way through. In that case, I don't focus on the entire workout. I focus on committed action to getting the push-ups and pull-ups done, then letting momentum take over. Another approach is to take a half step. In learning how you typically operate through tasks, you might look at the entire thing and say, let's say a workout still, and then cut it in half. If there are 6 exercises, maybe just do 3. But allow that to be good enough to take that step. You can always change your mind after you get going. After all of these skills are to help you find one micro action that tips behavior from stillness into motion. And whatever that looks like, rock and roll. Have many experiments, try new things, maybe discover a brand new approach. Because as you try, that's where anxiety begins to loosen its grip. Not by completing everything or finding what works, but by standing and starting something instead of staying still. And then, when the action is done, however small and without minimizing, and frankly, in my opinion, this is the most important step of committed action: reflection and integration. Committed action isn't about checking a box and moving on, especially for social anxiety. It means taking a deliberate pause after you do something you didn't think you could do, and then reflect and integrate. Integrate means updating our expectations for the next time you encounter a similar situation. You see, resilience isn't something we're taught. I can't tell you, you can do hard things, go do it, and suddenly it becomes easier. Instead, resiliency is built through that reflection and integration process. Recognizing I made it through something I didn't think I could do. Holy cats, I made it. And here's also a really great experience because we get to touch on both mindsets for productivity, the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. When we put effort towards a task, we're practicing the growth mindset. And when we put effort in pursuit of mastery, not accomplishment, and focusing on process rather than the product, we're really embracing the growth mindset. Now, when the task is complete, we get ready to shift into the fixed mindset for just a moment. In the fixed mindset, we really soak in the accomplishment and say, I did it. Look at what I achieved. How did I do that? We get to hold both the humility of growth and the satisfaction of completion. And what a privilege that is. It all starts with that first step, though. In order to be both a learner and a witness to our own progress, each small step matters. Each reflection deepens learning, and each repetition builds a path towards belonging. We just have to pay attention and be intentional. Through the shame lens, committed action becomes not a performance, it becomes a practice of belonging. Because shame often tells us that effort only counts if you're perfect. It only counts if that thing goes well. The outcome has to be good. And if we stumble, we need to rest, we can't keep it up, well, then we've somehow failed. And now we assume that it's because of a moral failure. I am a failure. Instead, committed action opens up a completely different story. It reminds us that effort itself is a declaration of worth. Each small step forward is an act of resistance against shame's message that we're not enough. And it's where you begin to live your life instead of fear and the inner critic living your life for you. Now, for someone living with social anxiety, every moment of showing up is really tough. Good news is you can do tough stuff. And every time that you speak when it feels safer to stay silent, every time you make eye contact and truly listen to someone, or you allow yourself to be seen and share something with somebody, those are moments of profound courage that deserve reflection and integration. They're not small acts, they're quiet revolutions. And through the shame lens, we begin to see that belonging isn't about eliminating shame or fear. It's about moving with them along the way. It's about realizing that discomfort doesn't mean danger. It means you're alive and engaged and present in your own life doing something that's probably really important, no matter how your mind may minimize it. And when clients start to see that their actions, not their outcomes, define their healing, they begin to reclaim something sacred. The belief that they are worthy of showing up even when it's hard. And that's what belonging in motion looks like. That's what healing embodied looks like. So maybe for you or for your clients, the question isn't, how do I feel confident enough to act? How do I raise my self-esteem? Instead, maybe it's an awareness that confidence comes after action, and self-esteem is built through reflection and integration. So maybe the real question is, what's one step I can take today that honors who I want to become? And I can bring that fear along with me while I do it. The truth is, healing isn't a feeling, it's a direction. It's often uncomfortable, just like that first step in the new grass. It's not a single act of courage. Sometimes we'll stumble, maybe even trip on a rock. It's truly a steady practice of turning towards what matters over and over again, soaking in, learning new lessons, and updating our way we view life. And it's in these moments where we choose movement instead of rumination, presence instead of perfection, and belonging instead of avoidance. And sometimes that's all committed action really is. A willingness to try again, to do the next right thing, and to let doing shape the feeling in its own time. So wherever you are, whether you're the clinician supporting others or the person doing your own work, I hope you remember this. You don't have to feel ready to begin. You only have to begin. And as you do, pay attention to the small actions, the quiet reflections, and the growing awareness that you're already on your way home to yourself. Thank you for being here. And if you're a therapist, thank you for the work you're doing in this world. If this reflection was meaningful for you, you can find the rest of this ACT series on YouTube. And if you want further information on social anxiety through a shame and trauma-informed approach utilizing ACT as a guide for how we experience deep recovery, we'll have linked the training to master the shame lens down below. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.